Today, the world has entered a dangerous new chapter. The United States has launched a surprise military attack on Iran's nuclear facilities. In response, Iranian leaders have threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow but extremely important waterway. While that may sound like something happening far away, the truth is, this could affect all of us. From rising gas prices to global war fears, the consequences could be massive. So what exactly happens now? What does closing the strait mean for the world, for oil, and for peace? Let's explain everything, in simple English. Early this morning, U.S. fighter jets bombed multiple sites in Iran. These were believed to be nuclear facilities, places where Iran may have been working to enrich uranium, a key ingredient in nuclear weapons. The U.S. government stated that the strikes were a defensive action, meant to stop Iran from becoming a nuclear-armed country. But Iran doesn't see it that way. Iranian leaders are calling the attack an act of war. Within hours, the Iranian parliament voted to shut down the Strait of Hormuz immediately and completely. Now, you might be wondering, what's the big deal about this place called the Strait of Hormuz? Well, imagine the world's oil supply as blood running through arteries. The Strait of Hormuz is like the heart of that system. It's a narrow sea passage between Iran and Oman that connects the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea and then to the rest of the world. Every single day, around 20 million barrels of oil pass through it. That's about 20% of all the oil used globally. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, the United Arab Emirates, and Kuwait all ship their oil through this narrow stretch of water. If it's blocked, their oil is stuck, and that's a serious problem. Iran knows it cannot fight the United States directly in a long war, but it does have power in other ways. One of those is geography. Iran controls the northern side of the strait and has military bases nearby. For years, Iranian officials have said that if they are attacked or feel cornered, they will block the Strait of Hormuz. It's their way of saying, if we can't export our oil, nobody can. By doing this, Iran hopes to pressure the world into forcing the U.S. to back off. It's not just a military move. It's an economic weapon. It tells the entire world, if you let America bomb us, then you will all suffer too. The moment the strait is closed, oil prices would shoot up. Imagine waking up tomorrow and seeing gas at the station cost twice as much, or even more. Oil companies, airlines, shipping companies, all of them rely on that supply. Suddenly, everything gets more expensive. Food that's delivered by truck, plane tickets, heating fuel, electricity, prices go up across the board. Inflation rises. Stock markets panic. People begin to worry, not just about war, but about their wallets. This won't just affect the Middle East. The shock will be felt in the United States, in Europe, in Africa, in Asia, all over the world. If Iran really blocks the strait, it's almost guaranteed that other countries would get involved. The United States has naval forces in the region, including aircraft carriers, warships, and submarines. They would likely act quickly to try and reopen the passage. They might even launch more strikes inside Iran. The UK, France, and other NATO members might join in. Even countries that usually avoid conflict, like Japan or India, could demand military action if their oil supply is threatened. We could see full-blown naval battles in the Persian Gulf, missile strikes, and cyber attacks. And if things spiral out of control, we're looking at the real possibility of a wider regional war. Or worse, you might ask. Can Iran actually block the Strait of Hormuz? The answer is yes, at least temporarily. Iran has small, fast boats that can harass oil tankers. They also have anti-ship missiles, sea mines, drones, and submarines. They don't need to completely control the water. They just need to make it too dangerous for companies to send ships through. Even a few days of chaos could send oil markets into shock. That's enough to cause a global crisis. But here's the catch. Once Iran makes that move, it risks everything. The U.S. and its allies will respond, possibly with full military force. Iran's economy, already weak from years of sanctions, could collapse entirely. Here's the twist. Iran also exports oil through the Strait of Hormuz. If they shut it down, they're also cutting off their own lifeline. That means Iran would have to survive with even less income, which is already low. Prices inside Iran would rise. The value of their currency could drop. People could lose jobs. The government would face even more pressure from its citizens. In short, it's a higher-risk, high-cost move. But when countries feel cornered, they often take risky steps. The effects of this conflict would go far beyond just oil. Stock markets could crash, especially in countries that rely heavily on energy imports. Investors would panic. Shipping companies might avoid the entire Gulf region. Insurance costs for tankers would rise. Countries that depend on Middle East oil, like India, South Korea, and China, would face energy shortages and economic slowdowns. Central banks might try to lower interest rates to calm the storm, but they won't be able to stop the initial damage. The global economy is deeply connected, and one narrow waterway can throw it all into chaos. At this point, everyone is watching closely. World leaders are holding emergency meetings. Oil companies are changing routes. Warships are on high alert. Iran's military is on standby. The next move could decide whether this becomes a brief crisis or a long and bloody conflict. Diplomats may try to cool things down through back channels, UN meetings, or negotiations. But the truth is, once missiles fly, it's very hard to go back to normal. And if the Strait of Hormuz is truly blocked, the clock starts ticking fast. So, to sum it all up, today, the US attacked Iran's nuclear sites. Iran is threatening to block the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important shipping lanes in the world. If that happens, oil prices will rise, the global economy will shake, and the risk of war will grow. The world is now standing on the edge of something very dangerous. And while the fighting may be far away, the effects could come knocking on all of our doors. Thanks for watching. If you found this explanation helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll continue to bring you updates on world events, clearly explained and easy to understand. Till next time, stay informed and stay safe.